All right, so picture this, right? Waking up every morning and having both the time,
Yeah.
and the resources to actually really live life on your own terms.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you're finally tackling that travel bucket list you've always had, or finally getting deep into a hobby you had to set aside, or just, enjoying so much more time with family and loved ones.
Yeah.
And all without constantly worrying about money. That's the retirement dream, isn't it? I mean, for so many of us it is. But the real question is, how do we actually get there?
Yeah.
Uh,
How do you make it happen? That's the big one.
That's what we're diving into today.
It's interesting, even the idea of retirement is changing.
Mm.
Like, it's less about just stopping work altogether and more about this new phase where, yeah, you're not working as much,
Yeah.
but generating income
Yeah.
is still so important.
Right.
It's not just about how much you saved. It's more about how you can make that money,
Yeah.
make more money for you.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, we're focusing specifically on building these multiple income streams in retirement.
Yeah.
And this is not just some financial buzzword, okay?
Ah.
This is the real concrete way to build that comfortable, sustainable lifestyle you're looking forward to. We're going beyond just saving, just putting money away to actively making your money work for you,
You're right.
even in those quote golden years. And the research we did for this really shows that you need this diverse approach,
Mhm.
We saw everything from well-established strategies to some pretty out there ideas,
Mm.
but it all comes back to this. Having multiple ways to generate income in retirement. That's the key.
I think that's really what it comes down to.
And for you listening, that's why this is so crucial, understanding all these different options and how to actually make them work for you. That could be the difference between barely getting by and really flourishing in retirement. You know what I mean?
Totally.
We want you to walk away with real practical knowledge, some maybe surprising ideas, and not feel overwhelmed.
Right.
All right, so let's get into it.
Okay, so the first thing that really jumps out, and it's a consistent theme across everything we read, is that you can't. You really shouldn't rely on just one source of income in retirement. It's just too risky.
Right. It's like putting all your eggs in one basket, as they say.
Exactly. So if something happens to that one source, you've got nothing to fall back on. In practical terms, you got to diversify. That's what we're talking about here.
Right, spreading that risk. And someone like Jane Bryant Quinn, who really knows her stuff when it comes to personal finance, emphasizes that the real focus needs to be on how your savings and your other assets, of course, are producing income for you, not just sitting there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she's a big advocate for having a mix, a blend of income that offers security and also has the potential to grow, which, I mean, when you think about it, that just makes sense.
Makes total sense. And when we talk about that secure foundational income, Social Security is often, well, it's the starting point for many retirees. But here's something really interesting. For every year you delay claiming benefits past your full retirement age, your monthly check increases by about 8% per year.
Wow. So if your full retirement age is, say, 67 and you wait until 70, you're looking at 24% more each month. That's pretty significant.
Huge difference. Could really make a big impact on your financial security. So, something to think about.
It is. I know it feels kind of counterintuitive waiting for something you're entitled to, but if you can swing it, the long-term benefits are definitely there.
Right.
And then there are annuities. Quinn also mentions those. It's a way to create a predictable income, particularly useful for essential expenses.
Like a safety net, right?
Exactly. You can kind of think of it as an insurance policy for your retirement income. Gives you peace of mind.
And there are different kinds of annuities too, right? Like some offer a fixed interest rate, while others, their returns depend on how the market performs. Yep. And the key is understanding which type aligns with your own personal risk tolerance. Like how much risk are you comfortable with, and what kind of income do you really need? So bringing all this back to the bigger picture, our first big tip for you is, drum roll please, diversify your income sources.
It all starts there.
Seriously, think about building a mix of Social Security, maybe a pension if you have one. Maybe consider those annuities for that guaranteed income base.
Yeah.
Then income from your investments, and as we'll talk about later, maybe even income from part-time work.
Okay, great. So we've laid down that groundwork. Now let's move on to something that a lot of people have and is a potential income generator, real estate.
Yeah.
This came up quite a bit in the research. Another big way to create income in retirement.
Absolutely. And there are some interesting options when it comes to real estate. For example, if you're a homeowner, think about renting out a part of your house. Could be a spare room, a basement apartment, or even your whole house for short periods if you're traveling.
Right.
That's a way to generate income from something you already own.
And then, of course, there's the idea of investing in rental properties.
Hmm.
Robert Kiyosaki, remember him? He's a big believer in this. He sees real estate as a cornerstone for building wealth and having that steady income in retirement.
Yeah, and what's great about real estate is it can provide two benefits.
Mm-hmm.
You get that regular rental income, but then also historically, properties tend to increase in value over time.
They appreciate, but of course, it's not all rainbows and butterflies.
Right, there are things to consider.
You have to think about managing the property, dealing with potential vacancies, all those associated costs.
Yeah,
So it's definitely something to research carefully.
absolutely, but it is an avenue worth exploring. So our third tip for you, really look into those real estate opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Think about maybe downsizing your current home and renting out part of a new, smaller place,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe investing in a separate rental property altogether. See what aligns with your goals and your risk tolerance. And don't forget about other real estate options too, like those REITs, the real estate investment trusts, which let you invest in a bunch of properties without actually owning and managing them directly.
Mm,
But always, always do your homework first.
definitely. Okay, so we've talked about some of the more traditional strategies. Now, how about we switch gears and get a little bit more creative?
Oh, yeah, let's get into the fun stuff.
Let's look at some unconventional ways to generate income in retirement. This is where
Oh,
things get interesting.
yeah, it's all about expanding your perspective.
Mm-mm.
Realizing retirement doesn't have to mean you completely stop earning.
Right. It's not an end, it's a transition.
Right. The stuff we read highlighted some really cool creative possibilities, like pet sitting, for instance. I mean, who doesn't love pets, right?
I was surprised by that one, actually. Apparently, sites like rover.com make it super easy to find pet owners who need someone reliable to take care of their furry friends.
Yeah,
So if you love animals, it's a fun way to make some extra cash and stay active.
exactly. It combines making money with something that's actually enjoyable.
And it keeps you moving.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's this other idea, renting out your driveway or garage,
Yeah.
especially if you live in a city where parking is, like gold.
Oh, yeah.
There are platforms for this too, like just Park and Parkly. You're basically turning unused space into income.
It's really about looking around and seeing what you have that you might not have thought of as an income generating asset.
Yeah.
And this brings us to our outside the box tips, right?
Yeah.
Tip number 1, think about monetizing your hobbies. That thing you do just because you love it. Maybe it's crafting, writing, photography. Chances are there's someone out there who'd pay for it.
Yeah.
There are platforms for that. Etsy for handmade stuff, self-publishing for writers. You can turn your passion into income.
And think about the personal satisfaction there too.
Yeah.
Turning something you love into a way to make money can add so much purpose and enjoyment to your retirement. And our second outside the box tip. Think beyond your home. What other stuff do you own that you don't use all the time? Tools, equipment, your car, when it's just sitting there. There are sites like Turo and Fat Llama where you can rent those things out.
Amazing. It really is amazing how many possibilities there are when you start thinking a bit differently. So let's just recap those 5 key tips we've talked about. First, and we can't stress this enough, diversify your income sources. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right. And second, make the most of your Social Security benefits. Really think about when to start taking those payments, maybe delaying them if you can, and look into any spousal benefits you might qualify for.
Number 3, explore those real estate opportunities. Whether it's using your current home strategically or looking into investment properties, do your research. See what fits your goals and your comfort level with risk.
Right. Number 4, seriously consider adding annuities to your retirement plan. They can give you that base level of guaranteed income to cover those essential living expenses, like that financial safety net we talked about.
Exactly. And finally, number 5, use those tax advantage retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs in a smart way.
Yeah.
Think carefully about when and how you take money out. That can really help you lower your taxes and maximize your income.
This actually brings up a really important point about how retirement itself is changing.
Hmm.
It's not the same as it used to be.
Not at all. And we saw this amazing stat from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You ready for this? In 2020, almost 20% of people 65 and older were either working or looking for work.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Really highlights the trend of retirees actively looking for ways to generate income, whether it's a traditional part-time job or even starting their own businesses.
Wow.
It really supports this idea of having those multiple streams of income. Retirement isn't necessarily the end of your earning years. For many, it's a transition to new ways of making money.
So, to sum up everything we've discussed today, the main takeaway is this: retirement is a whole new chapter filled with financial possibilities. But to make the most of it, you need to be flexible. You need to be proactive and creative when it comes to generating income. It's not the full stop to earning that it maybe once was.
Absolutely. And the real key is realizing that you probably have a ton of valuable skills, assets you're not fully using, and interests you're passionate about that you can actually use to generate income in this new phase of life. It's about having that multifaceted strategy, drawing income from different places to build a resilient and fulfilling financial future, the kind of future that allows you to live the retirement lifestyle you really want.
So, going back to that picture we painted at the beginning, waking up without those financial worries, it's not just a fantasy. It's something you can achieve if you build those income streams strategically. The stability of Social Security, the potential growth of real estate, even the flexibility of making money from a hobby.
Yeah.
These all work together to create a really solid foundation. So here's something to think about, something to really chew on as you continue planning for retirement. What's one skill you have, maybe one you haven't used in a while, or one asset you have that you're not using to its full potential? What's one thing you could use to generate income in this next chapter?
Yeah, I like that.
It's something worth pondering.
It is.
And that's it for today's deep dive. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.